Welcome back to Wisdom and Work. I'm Larry Holmes, and I want to try to convince you to become an AI resistant generalist and not a specialist. This is the third Monday episode in a series of wake up calls I've been doing for Christians. And 2 weeks ago, I showed AI disruption and how it's going to affect jobs dramatically, families, churches. And then last week, I explained your true worth, according to Genesis 1, verse 27, that you're created in God's image, and you're not a productivity relic of the industrial age. That's not how you were created. And so now the question is, but what do I actually do? So today I'm going to show you a practical strategy for becoming the kind of person that AI could never replace. This is about survival strategy in the AI age. In my 20 years in leading seminars, I taught about 25 different topics. Budgeting, leadership, emotional intelligence, communication skills, financial analysis, strategic planning. Just about anything that could come up in the workplace, I taught it. And it wasn't because I was an expert in all those topics. It was because I was a generalist who had to learn, to adapt, and to teach. And over the years, I watched so many specialists become obsolete. An expert in one software program became obsolete when the software changed, and they were lost. People that spent a decade mastering one skill, then the company restructured, and that skill became irrelevant. But generalists survived every wave of change. You know, I remember I used to teach a seminar, and the title of it was, if I can recall it correctly, Management Problems for the Technical Person in a Leadership Role. Maybe the longest seminar title in history. And that seminar attracted specialists from organizations that the organization sent to my seminar so I could try to convince them, like an engineers, a lot of them were engineers. And I was supposed to try to convince these engineers that we were very happy in their narrowly disciplined skill of engineering work. That's how they were trained. That's what they were used to. That's what they wanted to do. And it's my job to try to convince them to take on more of a leadership role, to be willing to get in management, to be willing to supervise people. And they didn't want to do that. So I would show them that, we'll take mechanical engineering, for example. At the time, the research showed that their mechanical engineering skills would become obsolete within 2.5 years of graduating from college, because there was going to be graduates coming on up behind them that knew skills that they never learned. I also had to convince them that their engineering job, if the organization should choose to do so, could be outsourced overseas for a fraction of what they're paying them. But leadership can never be outsourced. And so that was very true then, and it is even way more true now in the era of AI. So now AI is here, and specialists are the most vulnerable of all. So generalists who can think, who can adapt, who can connect ideas, they're going to be AI resistant. So 3 things for today. Number 1, why specialists are sitting ducks for AI replacement. Number 2, I'm going to give you 5 characteristics of an AI-resistant generalist. And number 3, I'm going to give you 3 specific steps to start becoming a generalist this week. So let's go. Okay. The industrial age taught us to pick one thing and get really good at it. If you went to college, chances are you went to college to learn that one thing that you could become really good at. Find your lane and stay in it. Become an expert in a narrow field. That's what we were taught in the industrial age. Radiologists reading x-rays, accountants doing tax returns or accounting work, paralegals doing document reviews, graphic designers creating logos. That's how the industrial age did things. Because the industrial age, it worked because the industrial age valued efficiency. Do one thing, do it fast, then rinse, wash, and repeat, and do it all over again. And companies paid specialists premium wages. It worked until now. Here's the problem with specialization. Specialization is what AI is good at. AI is really good at narrow, repetitive tasks. Example, I'll give you 3 examples. The first example is radiology. AI can now read x-rays and MRIs at least as well as people can, radiologists can, maybe better. They can find things human radiologists miss. They do it faster, they do it cheaper, and they do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Human radiologists who only read images, they're vulnerable. Second example, tax preparation. AI can read tax code, fill out forms, find deductions. Human accountants who only does tax returns, they're vulnerable. Third example, legal research. AI can search thousands of cases in seconds, find relevant precedents, summarize findings. Paralegal who only does document review, they're vulnerable. So the pattern is, the narrower your skill, the more repetitive your work, the more rule-based your job, the easier it is for AI to replace you. Specialists are sitting ducks because AI excels at pattern recognition, at repetitive tasks, at following rules, at processing information, narrowly focused fields. That's what specialists do. So I'm going to give you 5 characteristics of AI resistant generalists. Characteristic number 1, cross-domain knowledge. And here's what it means. Know something about many fields. You don't have to be an expert in all. You can't be an expert in all. But you can be familiar with several fields. You can connect ideas from different domains you're familiar with. AI can't do that, and here's why. AI is trained in narrow data sets. It's great in one field, but it struggles connecting across unrelated domains. It can't see patterns that span industries. I'll give you a biblical example. Joseph understood dreams, spiritual. He managed resources, administrative. He navigated politics, leadership. He planned for famine, strategic thinking. So Joseph wasn't a specialist in one thing. He was a generalist across many things. In my case, I knew finance, I knew leadership, communication, emotional intelligence. I could teach 25 topics because I learned to understand principles that apply across various domains. AI can teach one topic brilliantly, but it can't do what I had to learn to do. Adapt the same principle to 25 different contexts. Practical application for you is learn outside your field. Read books in different disciplines. Take courses in areas you don't work in, or maybe not even be interested in. Ask, how does this principle apply elsewhere? Characteristic number 2, contextual wisdom. It means knowing when to apply what you know. Understanding same solution doesn't work in every situation. Reading the room, sensing what's unspoken. That's a big part of emotional intelligence. And why AI struggles with this? AI gives you the right answer based on data, but it doesn't know what specific situations are exceptions to the rule. It can't read emotional context. It can't read cultural nuance. It doesn't know the timing. For example, I taught conflict resolution techniques. The same techniques to hundreds of managers. And wise managers know that this technique that works with that employee now won't necessarily work with this other employee. And AI can tell you the same technique, the steps to go through, just like I did, but it can't tell you when and when not to use it. AI doesn't have discernment. So I not only had to teach the techniques, I had to teach when and how to use it and when not to use it. Biblical example would be Solomon. Famous story you might be familiar with in 1 Kings chapter 3. 2 mothers claimed one baby. Went to Solomon for a solution to rule on it. Solomon said, well, we'll just split the baby in half. And one mother said, yeah, go ahead and do it. But the other mother said, please no, please don't kill my baby. So Solomon was able to identify the true mother by doing that. So he had wisdom, knowing the wrong answer for this particular situation. Solomon used unconventional solution because he understood human nature. Practical application for you is don't just learn rules, learn exceptions. Study cases where normal rules don't apply. Develop judgment, discernment, insight. Ask, is this situation different from the norm? Okay, characteristic number 3, relationship skills. It means building trust, reading people, navigating conflict, effective collaborating. AI can't do this because AI can't simulate conversation with real people. It can't build genuine trust. It doesn't have emotional intelligence. It only has artificial intelligence. It can't navigate messy human relationships. So the coming need is, as AI does more technical work, humans will focus on human work, leading teams, managing clients, building partnerships, resolving conflicts. These are going to be high-value skills in the AI age. They are right now. They're going to become more valuable as time goes on. A biblical example is Barnabas. The name Barnabas means son of encouragement, according to Acts 4, verse 36. He brought Paul into the church when everyone was afraid of Paul. He reconciled people. He built bridges. He saw potential in John Mark, and Paul gave up on him, according to Acts 15, verse 38. So these are not technical skills Barnabas has. They're relationship skills. When I taught communication, emotional intelligence, team building, I saw people who learned relationship skills and how they outlasted technical specialists, because machines can't replace human connection. So be intentional about investing in relationships. Learn to read emotions. Learn to read body language. Practice active listening. In fact, years ago, Stephen Covey wrote the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 5th habit of highly effective people is seek first to understand and then be understood. Seek first to understand from their point of view and then be understood. AI can't do that. Develop reputation for trustworthiness. More valuable now than ever has been. 4th characteristic, creative problem solving. It means solving problems that don't have clear answers, combining ideas in novel ways, finding solutions when standard approaches fail. The difference between AI and humans on this, AI can do pattern matching from training data that's been programmed into it. It can remix existing solutions brilliantly. But humans exercise true creativity in facing genuine new problems. And there's no pattern to match. And a new one must be created. That's what humans can do. For example, the unexpected crisis. AI is great at saying, oh, we've seen this before, here's what worked. But humans are needed for, we've never seen this before. So what do we do? COVID was a great example of that. There's no playbook. Everybody had to improvise. And leaders who thrived during COVID were generalists who could adapt. Biblical example would be Nehemiah. He was rebuilding a wall while enemies attacked. There's no manual for this. He had to improvise. He had to half build and half guard the wall, according to Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6. He had to come up with a creative solution to an unprecedented problem. And here's why generalists win. They can draw from multiple fields. They can see solutions specialists miss. They can adapt when the world around them changes. So put yourself in unfamiliar situations. Learn to solve problems outside your expertise. Learn from failures and ask, what if we tried something completely different sometimes? Let's try that. And the fifth characteristic and final characteristic is self-directed learning. And what it means is ability to learn new things quickly, to not wait for formal training, to figure things out independently, to adapt as the world changes, never resist change, instead embrace change. And why that's going to matter in the AI age? Skills have short-lived life. You can't spend 10 years mastering one thing anymore. You must constantly learn, must constantly be willing to adapt and constantly update existing skills. You got to learn how to learn. Learning how to learn will be the most valuable skill that you can have. And the generalist advantage is they already learn many different things. Generalists already know how to approach new domains, not intimidated by unfamiliar territory. They can see patterns across fields. Paul, for example, Apostle Paul, he started as a Pharisee. He knew Jewish law. He was a Jewish law expert. You might say he was a specialist in that. But he became an apostle. He became a theologian. He learned tent making as well. It was a trade skill he had to learn. He had to make money. And he mastered Greek rhetoric. He mastered communication skills. And he also navigated Roman politics. Cultural intelligence he had to master or learn about. So he was constantly learning, Paul was, adapting and growing. At 80, I'm 80 years old, and here I am learning about AI. Well, I could have said, man, I'm too old for these new things. Or this is bad, dangerous stuff. Like, arguing about things that are reality, like AI that's already here. It's like arguing about the weather. You can complain about it, but there's not anything you're going to be able to do about it, so why complain? Instead, I not only learned AI, I not only researched it, I tested different AI systems, so now I can teach others about it. That's the generalist mindset. Of course, maybe it's because I can't do anything particularly, any single thing particularly well, so maybe I had to become a generalist. So learn something new every day. Don't wait for your employer to train you. Your employer is going to train you what your employer wants to train you for their benefit, not necessarily for your benefit. And teach yourself through books, through videos, through practice. Learn to embrace the discomfort of being a beginner until you're comfortable with what you've learned. And the last thing I want to give you today is 3 practical steps you can take. Step 1, start a learning outside my lane project. So here's your assignment. Pick something completely outside your current expertise. Spend maybe as little as 30 minutes a week learning it for the next 3 months. You'll be surprised what you learn. For example, if you're in finance, learn basic graphic design. If you're in marketing, learn a little bit about coding. If you're in engineering, Learn public speaking. In fact, everybody should learn public speaking. If you're in sales, learn data analysis. This works because it breaks your specialist mindset. It shows you can learn new domains. It builds confidence as a generalist, and you might discover unexpected connections. It's not about mastery. It's about expanding your range. Second step, find a thinking partner from a different domain. So find someone whose work is completely different from yours. And meet with them maybe monthly for coffee or something. And share with each other what you're learning. And ask, how does that principle apply in my field? This works because it forces cross-domain thinking. You explain your work to an outsider, and it builds your communication skills. You learn to see patterns across industries, and it develops the generalist ability to connect idea. For example, an engineering who knows teaching can talk about systems and problem solving. A pastor who knows accounting, a little bit about accounting, can talk about stewardship and people management. An entrepreneur who knows medical emergencies can talk about crisis management and prioritization. Cross-pollination of ideas is what builds generalist thinking. And the third and final step, teach something you just learned. So learn a new skill this month, then teach it to someone else. The old saying, no one learns like the teacher learns, is absolutely true. If you want to learn something, teach it to someone else. One-on-one, you can do it one-on-one teaching. You can do it with a blog post if that suits you. You can do it, you can make a video if that's what's appropriate. Or build a presentation on it. Doesn't matter how you do it, just teach it. And this works because teaching forces deep understanding. You can't teach what you don't really know. And it reveals gaps in your knowledge and develops communication skills that will make you AI resistant. That is an added benefit. It builds reputation as someone who learns and shares. And that's extremely valuable in the AI age. People who can learn and teach will be in big demand instead of just doing one thing repeatedly. It's biblical. It's a biblical discipling model. You learn and then you teach. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2 says, what you have learned from me, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. That's what Paul says in Timothy. So, here's what I believe is coming. And over the next several years, the workforce will split. It'll split into specialists who don't adapt, and they will be replaced by AI and struggle. Then we'll have generalists who keep learning, who become more valuable in the AI age, who will thrive. So it's not about intelligence. Specialists are smart. Oftentimes they're brilliant. But it's not about mindset, specialist mindset. It's about a generalist mindset and adaptability. The AI age rewards breadth and depth, not just depth alone. One of the many lessons from the famous parable of the talents in Matthew 25 is that servants who invested grew and were rewarded for it. whereas the servant who buried talent didn't grow and lost everything. And the AI age rewards those who multiply capabilities, not just maintain one capability. Your challenge this week, pick one of those 3 steps I just went over with you. For example, start a learning project outside your lane, or find a thinking partner from a different field, or teach something you just learned, and start it this week. Start becoming a generalist right now. Don't wait until your job is threatened. Don't wait until AI disrupts your industry. Start today. So I invite you to comment below. What's one thing you're going to learn outside your current expertise? What field are you curious about? Let's build a community of generalists together by preparing together. So next Monday, we'll talk about 3 income streams every Christian family should consider. Because generalists with multiple income sources, they're going to become financially secure in the AI age. So remember, specialists are sitting ducks and generalists are AI resistant. You can become a generalist starting today. And that's my message for you for this week. I'm Larry Holmes, and for now, go in grace and peace.